Hi, it's Mary Beth Shaw from Stencil Girl Products. I am here in my studio today wearing an apron, getting ready to show you all how to stencil a wall. Ah! Don't be scared. I've done it. I just didn't have a wall in my house that I was ready to do, nor did I have one that had the kind of lighting that would allow me to show you what I wanted to show you today. So I thought I would simulate a wall here at the studio. And I'm hoping that this works out okay and you get an idea how this is done. Here's the thing, stenciling a wall is not exactly like what we normally do in the mixed media world. We are a little wild in the mixed media world, as most of you probably know. We are very wild in the mixed media world. And we just fling paint wherever we want to go. And we layer and we just go on and we're happy with that. But if you're gonna do a wall in your house, you might want it to be a little bit more precise. And there are some things that you do need to know before you embark on that kind of project. So I am just gonna try to make it as easy as possible. Trust me, I'm not an expert. I have not been trained in this. I have just kind of figured out what makes sense to me. And that's how I embark on my home decor projects. But they turn out pretty well usually. So this is what I like to use, first of all, is a roller. Because if you're gonna stencil a wall, you don't wanna use one of these little itty bitty sponges. I mean, I love our sponges, but not for something that is a larger project. I like these rollers that are dense sponge rollers, much like what I prefer when I'm doing a project in my journal or any other mixed media project I'm doing. These are sold in the hardware store and I usually just wash them out between uses, and I believe they're sold as like rollers for cabinetry because they don't leave a lot of paint marks, and I like that. I don't like those like big furry ones that leave obvious painting marks and so on and so forth. So I look for a dense sponge roller. That would be one thing. Today I'm going to demo putting the paint on a paper plate, but as long as you can roll it out and keep it pretty dry, that is exactly similar to how we always work and what I always tell you guys. So that is an easy guideline there. Keep the paint the same consistency. You can get tons of great paints these days, latex paint, so I would just select whatever kind of paint you want, you know. Alright, but there's some specifics you need to be aware of regarding your wall, and I'm going to try to show you that right now. I have put up this large piece of paper on my wall here to give you kind of an idea of how this might work. Mainly, the thing, it's all about being level. Because if you, particularly if you're using a pattern that involves some lines and so forth, you don't want it to look, you know, what did my mom used to always say? Cattywampus. You don't want it to look cattywampus. So the best thing to do then is to establish, you know, the level before you start. I have put up this plumb line here. This is not a real plumb line. I just put a piece of baker's twine and attached a little rusty bolt to it. And I can't reach the wall, the top of the wall here because it's so high, and I don't have a ladder that goes that high. So, nor do my walls go that high anyway, so I couldn't possibly paint this wall. But what I did was I just thumbtacked it in, and you would thumbtack it at the top of your wall. Let's say you did this in a good place to start would be to make your plumb line and then put it right in the corner. So that way, where the corner matches up, you could see how square your room is right from the get-go. And that's a good thing to know. I'm in a building that was built in the 1800s, so I can tell you right now, nothing is square in here. the walls that have been installed, the walls, the floors, it's all like every which way. So this would not be a good example of a square wall. But doing the plumb line is a great exercise because it at least gives you an idea of what you're dealing with. So you know if your wall's off a little bit, you can make some maybe eyeball adjustments or whatever you think might work to help that look good. The other thing you're going to need is a level. And this, I put the level up and get the stencil leveled before I even start to paint. All right? Because that way then you know that it's level. Here is the big key. When you're doing a wall, start in the middle of the room, in the middle of your wall. So you got your wall, start in the middle of the wall, just in the middle, not at the top, not at the bottom, not at either side, in the middle. And then go up and down and side and side. This is going to allow you to keep it more level. And you know, there's all sorts of ways to look at this, and everybody's going to have to assess their own environment individually on this. I can't tell you what would work in your house, you know, if your floors are, you know, a little off and so on and so forth. But what I'm going to do right now is just tape the stencil up. And this is a time when I use tape. I would either use tape or I would use a stencil spray because I do want the stencil to be adhered nicely before I start this process. You know, I'm talking about a big stencil. This is a whole different ball game right here. So I'm gonna tear a little tape off and then get this puppy level. And then you have options too if you work it sideways. Do you want to work it horizontally? Do you want to work it vertically? Or which way would you do it? I think for our purpose here, I think I'm trying to see what's going to look best here in the camera for you guys to see this the best. And you know what? I'm going to raise the camera. That seems like a good idea here. So I will raise the camera up. So hopefully you can still hear me, but you won't see me as much. Maybe, oh no, that's not bad. So we're going to put this right here. And I am going to, I've got my plumb line going down, and I've already looked at it. And I could establish the plumb line at the edge here and then establish this to be level here, but it's basically just for the camera right now, okay? Because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. And I can't even imagine what it would be like if I really did try to paint this wall, because I have a feeling this wall is just really crazy crooked. So I'm holding it in place. You could perhaps get a second person to help you with this part to get it all started. And there it is. I've got a little piece of tape on here from the last time I used this stencil. I'm going to take this plumb line down because I don't need it anymore, but I wanted to at least show that to you so you could get an idea how that worked. Now I'm going to put my paint on my paper plate. I'm just using a PBO acrylic for this demo. And I'm going to roll it across to get my roller coated with the paint. Now, if you don't have enough room to do this on a paper plate, which I've got a fair amount of room because I don't like the huge rollers. I really like this little size because I can control it better. But I want to roll it so that it's not like, it still gives you that pretty dry effect like we typically use, okay? Now you start just like you start in the middle of the wall, start in the middle of the stencil, and just take it slow and easy and roll over the stencil. You can go both ways. Most of our large stencils, wow, I've got a squeaky roller, eh? Ha ha ha. Most of our larger stencils do not have a ton of super intricate parts, so you can roll both ways. If you were using flower tiles, that's one of my designs, you might want to just roll in one direction. This paper that I'm using up here is just a white butcher block paper that I taped up for this demo. And good tip, by the way, if you want a big roll of white butcher block paper, get it off of Amazon. I got this enormous roll off of Amazon for a really good price. Okay. I am not going to take time to finish the whole thing because this is quite a slow process to do this. But I'm going to take this off and you can see how cool this wall would look. Is that not cool? I love it, love it, love it. So then, oh, I hit a piece of real art on the wall there, right? Mm-hmm. So then you're ready to go to your next area. And the easiest thing is to line up the stencil. You can just do it like this. Line it up here. Let's see, this one goes, you know what? I think this one goes the opposite. Yeah, see this right here? This matches up. Did you see that, how I flipped the stencil? All of them match up, top and bottom, side to side, but you have to figure out which way it does it. And it's very obvious once you look at it because one way it, you know, it matches up and the other way it doesn't. So you match it up there, and you could do that just like that, or you could overlap this one right here. Whatever you want to do, then you're going to need to retape it, and you're ready to do your second stencil roll. It's a slow process. It should not be rushed. Repeat, not be rushed. Hey, Elise, we got some people on here. Gail, what a great tutorial, she says. I love the large stencils. Yeah, these large stencils are amazing. This one that I'm showing here is by Terry Stegmiller, who is a fiber artist, and she does a lot of dyeing of her own fabrics, and she makes amazing fabrics with these stencils by laying out, you know, her fabric, her muslin, or whatever it might be. So I just wanted to give you some ideas about how you might consider a project like this. I do know that it is a slow go. You just have to take your time and methodically go through it. Elise says, I'm going to do our bathroom and also make some table runners. Awesome. Elise, I can't wait to see pictures of them because I'm sure they're going to be absolutely awesome. I know the very first wall I stenciled, I just completely wussed out in the middle of it. I was like, holy cow. Of course, this was before we made 12 by 24 stencils. So I'm using a little 9 by 12 stencil, and I'm like, this is gonna take me a year to do. And so I ended up just doing a center section like that. And you can do all sorts of treatments. There's no right or wrong. It's your home. Consider how you might like to embellish it using stencils. I hope this has helped you out. I know there's a lot of other information online if you Google how to stencil your home. Yeah, Elise says, but it's so rewarding and personalized. Angie is saying, I'm thinking of a series of vertical boxes using patterns in the grandbaby's room. Oh, gosh. I would love that, I think. That would be really, really delightful. Laura says, shh, I'm supposed to be working. I love it, Laura. I'll be really quiet. So I hope this has given you some ideas and ways to play with stencils around your house. I'll be back tomorrow with some more ideas. See you later.